Just a second, sir. Yeah, got it. So, sirs, we'll start with the bootcamp on ChatGPT. So, a very good morning to dear participants. I'm Sonali Dubedi, Alumni Relations from Jaro Group. I'm glad to introduce Jaro Education. So, Jaro Education is India's largest edtech firm, catering to the need of working professionals by providing personalized career guidance along with offering various executive programs from prestigious B schools and universities in India and globally. We at Jaro are glad to introduce you to the Jaro Connect platform, especially meant for our 3.5 lakhs alumni since 2009, to avail the value around services that will help you to boost your learning scope and career aspects in the form of various complementary services introduced. I would hereby like to showcase the features of Jaro Alumni Connect with you all. Our alumni can now avail services like boot camps, job postings, profile directory, networking on the platform. Happy to announce the referral and extended offerings exclusive for our alumni base. You will be updated timely on the alumni portal. So it gives a great pleasure to introduce our esteemed guest, Mr. Prabhu Stanislaus, who will be leading our bootcamp on harnessing the power of ChatGPT. Mr. Prabhu is a seasoned and independent IT consultant with a specialization in RPA, that is robotic process automation, artificial intelligence, and ChatGPT. With an impressive career spanning over 28 years, Mr. Prabhu has gained extensive expertise in various application areas, domains, and technologies. He has contributed his skills and knowledge to renowned IT companies such as TCS, Mahindra, Satyam, Cognizant, UST Global, and Virtusa. Mr. Prabhu leverages ChatGPT to create intelligent chatbot applications and provide sales and marketing support to RPA service providers, offers IT corporate training consulting, and mentors IT startups. We are privileged to have Mr. Prabhu Stanislaus as a guide for his bootcamp, and we are confident that his expertise and insights will empower each participant to unlock the true potential of ChatGPT. Please join us in warmly welcome Mr. Prabhu Stanislaus to this exciting learning journey. Thank you. So, Mr. Prabhu, you can start with the bootcamp. As we can see, the participants have joined. They have turned on their cameras, and we welcome you. We heartily welcome you for the bootcamp.
Yeah. So thank you very much, Sonali. So hope I'm audible to everyone. So that was a wonderful introduction you gave. Thank you for that, Sonali. I'm just going to share my screen.
All right.
So are you able to see my screen?
Yes, sir, you are. Requesting all the participants to use chat box to ask any of the queries between these sessions.
Yeah, you're able to see my screen now in presentation mode, right?
Yes, sir. Totally visible.
Okay. There's somebody who's written something on it, some F1, F2, F3 and all that. What is that? I think somebody's writing on it. Yeah. Can you remove this? Hello?
So what is this F3, F2? We have not written it, sir.
No, yeah, even I haven't written it. Okay, it's gone now.
That's all.
Yeah, it's gone now. I haven't written it. Yeah, okay, great. So I think I won't go through this because you already gave me a good introduction. 1 second. Yeah. Okay, so let's start off. This slide is basically to give you a kind of an introduction and an agenda for what we're going to kind of cover in today's session. So why are we meeting today? We're meeting today so that we get to kind of interact with the diverse group of ChatGPT users, and then kind of try and help this diverse group of ChatGPT users use ChatGPT in a much more formal and a structured manner, so that they can improve their decision making and also kind of 10x their productivity and improve their engagement both with the ChatGPT and with your customers as part of using ChatGPT. So that's the overall purpose of the goal for what we're going to try and achieve today. If you look at the objectives or the agenda for what I would be covering here, given that this is close to a 2-hour session, and given that there are something like around close to 300 people on the call today, there were some requests which came saying that I should try and make this as interactive as possible. But then having 300 people on a call and trying to make it interactive kind of doesn't serve the purpose. So what I'm going to do is that I'm going to try and make it as interactive as possible. But given the constraints we have of 300 people on the call, it might not be as much as some of you might expect. So firstly, my apologies for that, given that this came as a specific request, but let me try and see what is the best I can do about that. Okay. So now coming back to the objectives, what will be, so though all of us know what ChatGPT is and we've heard of ChatGPT, that is ChatGPT is just a chat bot, while as I'll be explaining in some of the subsequent slides, right? But you should understand the concept of an LLM, which is the neural network engine, which drives the chatbot. Okay, so that is called as an LLM, and that is what you refer to as GPT-1, GPT-2, GPT-3, 3.5, and GPT-4, and all these are from OpenAI. And of course, there are competitors like Bard and a lot of other open source LLMs as well, like Shama and so on and so forth, right? So LLMs are like dime a dozen across the AI universe right now. And when we use the term ChatGPT, that is just a chat bot or an application that is used for conversational interactions. But the underlying engine that drives the chatbot or the intelligence behind the chatbot is basically the LLM, which is the large language model. And so it is important for us to first understand what large language models are before we try and find out how we can use ChatGPT effectively, right? And again, now when you talk about ChatGPT and LLMs are part of an overall science within artificial intelligence called as generative artificial intelligence. We'll again talk about what generative artificial intelligence is later, okay, subsequently. But if you talk of generative artificial intelligence will give you the large portion of what you need for trying to solve a problem. But generative AI by itself will not be able to give you a complete solution. So that's why we'll also be talking about some of the related AI tools, though those AI tools may not have anything to do with an LLM or with generative AI. And some of these tools will just be artificial intelligence enabled video generation tools. So these video generation tools may not have anything to do with a large language model. But still, we'll be talking about that as well. Not many tools, but a couple of tools, so that you kind of get an overall picture of what's the ecosystem available with you, so that you can kind of tap all this to kind of come up with the complete solutions. Okay, so that's the first part. Now, the second part is we'll also be talking very briefly about prompt engineering. Most of you must have heard about prompt engineering. Anybody who's been using ChatGPT for say the last 2 or 3 months, you will definitely have come across the term prompt engineering. Prompt engineering is nothing but how do I effectively prompt ChatGPT? Prompt in the sense, how do I query prompt ChatGPT so that I can get I can effectively get what I want to get from ChatGPT. So that's what prompt engineering is. We'll quickly go through that. Why I say quickly is that prompt engineering is a large body of knowledge. It would be difficult to go into it in any amount of detail. So that is why I'm saying that we'll go through it quickly. And of course, we'll also talk about using private data sets. And again, I'll come to what private data sets are later. Then finally, what we'll do is that we'll take up a few industries, like say marketing or say human resources. Okay. And then we'll kind of look at what are the actual use cases that we can try using ChatGPT. Okay. So that's what we'll be covering for this. And this is basically a list of some of the industries that have got key applications or use cases using ChatGPT. Okay. Now, the reason I've just mentioned these 7 alone and not the entire list is that these are industries where there are key applications for ChatGPT. But once you learn about ChatGPT, you'll know that ChatGPT can be used universally anywhere. It can be used in any kind of industry. And that's the beauty of ChatGPT, which you'll understand. But I've just put in a few key industries here. Okay. Okay, great. So now this talks about what is ChatGPT. So we'll quickly kind of cover that as well. I alluded to it very quickly before, but let me also go through it formally. So like I mentioned here, 1 second, let me just put on this. Yeah. So like I mentioned here, ChatGPT is only a chatbot. Okay. Now this relies on and it is powered by GPT. And what is GPT? GPT is the large language model. Okay. So you need to know about what a large language model is. How does this work? And only when you know this, you will be able to use ChatGPT effectively. So when somebody says GPT and ChatGPT, you should know that both are different. Okay. GPT can be 1, 2, 3, 3.5 or 4. Okay. Whereas ChatGPT will of course be ChatGPT or ChatGPT plus. We'll also talk about that. This is a general definition. You will get this definition anywhere. The key things here are the 2 terms that are highlighted here, which is the self-supervised and the reinforcement learning. Okay. So again, we'll talk about what all this means. And maybe at this point in time, you don't need to know about it. Okay. So now this is a key thing that I wanted to show you, saying that artificial intelligence is a much larger space. And machine learning is a subset of that. Neural networks is a subset of that. Deep learning is a subset of that. And generative AI, which is what ChatGPT is all about. Generative AI is a very small subset of deep learning. So now if you look at generative AI and look at the overall scheme of what artificial intelligence is, you know that generative AI is a very small subset. Okay. And this is where most of the things that are popular right now in artificial intelligence are part of this. Like, for example, GPT, which is the LLM, or GAN, which I'm not sure how many of you have seen. It's the generative adversarial networks. So this is the technology that basically drives all these new Photoshop applications, where you have the drag and drop facilities for making changes to photos. So most of these tools that we're talking about is in this region, or maybe in the periphery or intersections of this region. But the point is, you need to know about everything here so that you give a complete solution. So that's why when I talk of some of my tools, or I'll actually show you some websites where it gives you a inventory of most of the popular tools. So most of those tools, if you see, it will not be just in the generative AI space. It will be across. You might have some AI tools that have got nothing to do with machine learning themselves, right? It might be some here, especially some of the video generation tools will be in this space, but we'll still talk about that as well. The reason is to talk about what is the complete solution that we can offer. Okay. Now, this is something that most of you might have seen, but again, let me try and reiterate these things. What a lot of people don't know is that ChatGPT people think can only generate text. Okay. But that is not the case, because if you look at what has been given, which is ChatGPT, that is driven by the GPT 3.5 LLM. Okay. Whereas what has come out, which is the latest version that has come out on March of 2023, is basically ChatGPT Plus, where you can run both 3.5 and 4. Okay. And 4 is multimodal. Okay. Whereas 3.5 is unimodal. Now, what do we mean by multimodal and unimodal? Unimodal means only one mode of interaction or input-output, which is text alone, right? If it is going to be unimodal, it will be text alone. Whereas GPT-4 is multimodal, which means you can use for both inputs and outputs, text, images, video, and audio. Okay, so that is what we mean by multimodal. Now, some of you will immediately get a question saying, I already have a ChatGPT Plus, but I'm not able to use it for anything other than text. The reason is ChatGPT Plus, though it runs on GPT-4, ChatGPT Plus is only a chatbot, right? It is not the actual LLM. It is only a chatbot. And a chatbot is unimodal, okay? In the sense a chatbot can have only a text as input or output. It cannot have images, video, or audio, okay? But if you have ChatGPT Plus with you, you automatically get access to the GPT-4 APIs, which is the application programming interfaces. And using the application programming interfaces, you can create your own small, simple apps, okay? And in those small, simple apps, you can access all the other modes of the LLM, which is basically images, video, and audio. And in fact, a lot of the tools that are coming in the market basically make use of these APIs that ChatGPT gives you. Okay, fine, great. Now, so that's okay. Now, another thing here is that this is another key thing that you should know, which is the wide range of knowledge domains. We'll be talking about some of the training that an LLM has gone through. So as part of that training, you'll know the amount of training or the sheer volume of training that these LLMs have gone through. So which means there is practically nothing that these LLMs don't know. And when I say practically nothing, the limitation is basically to do with whatever was available on the internet for public consumption. Okay, so like for example, anything that is there on Wikipedia it is completely for public consumption. Anybody can see it, right? Similarly, anything that was available on the internet for public consumption is present in the LLM, in GPT 3.5 and in GPT-4. But like you'll know in the subsequent slides, there is a cutoff to it. September 2021 is the cutoff. So any of the knowledge that is present in ChatGPT is all the information, and I stress the word all, okay? It has got all the information that was there on the internet round about September 2021, and all that is available with ChatGPT. And what you'll also know is that, see, it is not as though that it has this information and then it asks you, you ask it a question and then it tries to match with the information available with it and give you an answer. That's not how it works. What it does is that it has got all the superset of knowledge, huge superset of knowledge, and then it has got semantic ability. What we mean by semantic ability is that it understands what this information is. And so that is where the human aspect of conversing with another human comes in, where when you talk to ChatGPT through the prompts, okay, you should talk to it like you're talking to a human being or to an AI assistant who is a human, okay? And the only thing is that this AI assistant is a super smart AI assistant. You should have that in mind as well, okay? So that's what we mean by the wide range of knowledge domains. And then this is another key thing, memory of previous responses and prompts. So for those of you in the programming or development background, you must have heard about a concept called as threads or sessions. It is nothing but if you go into ChatGPT itself, which I can show you now. Yeah. So if you go into chat, are you able to see my screen? Hello?
Sir, you're We are able to see your screen.
No, my ChatGPT screen.
Yes.
Okay, great. Okay. So if you see the ChatGPT screen, and if you see the left pane, if you see, there are several conversations that are there. Okay. And within these conversations, and some of these conversations, if you see, it says previous 7 days. That is, I've had these conversations with ChatGPT something like around almost 7 days back, right? So, but then if I go into one of these conversations, it will still remember what I asked it 7 days back. Okay. So that's something which is what we are talking about when we say that it has got previous responses and prompts. So which means that persistence for your conversations is there, but I think the persistence is there for 30 days. And beyond that, I think the chat history is automatically deleted. I'm not very sure about that. We can check that out. But anyway, 30 days is a lot of time for persistence for your responses. And if you see, these are the key things which will totally change the paradigm in terms of most of us being used to Googling stuff. That is, making use of a search engine to kind of update our knowledge. And now with ChatGPT coming in, you'll know that it's a completely different paradigm. And that's what we'll kind of look at in the subsequent slides. Okay. So we'll first talk about what large language models are. Okay. Yeah. So like I said, see, this is just, I stress on the fact that this is just a layman's definition of what LLMs are. Right. The reason is I don't want to give you any technical definitions because I understand that this is a group which is a mixed group of both IT folks and non-IT folks, and possibly a larger number of non-IT folks. So, hello. Yeah, there seems to be somebody who's writing on the screen. Anyway. If somebody can just check that there's somebody writing something on the screen. Yeah. I think that was Gaurav. Gaurav, if you can turn off your pen, please. Gaurav? Yeah. Fine. So yeah. Gaurav, I think there is one more line that is there. Yeah. Fine. So if you look at large language models, it's like I told you earlier, it's been trained on enormous amount of data. Okay. And the more the data that you train it, see, one of the key concepts for LLMs is the number of configurable parameters that LLM will have. Okay. And the more data you give the LLM during their training process, okay, the more the number of these parameters keep increasing. Okay. And more the number of these parameters keep increasing, the better the outputs from an LLM. Okay. So that is why if you look at GPT 3.5, GPT 3.5 was trained on around 175 billion parameters. Okay. Whereas GPT-4 is more than 1 trillion, which means around 6 times that. And if you look at, say, GPT-2, I think was trained with around 2 billion parameters. So 2 billion to 175 billion, if you look at between GPT-2 and 3.5 itself, it's something like nearly 100 times. Okay. So that is why ChatGPT has started becoming so popular. The reason is, with computing power going up, the amount of data that can be fed to these language models is increasing. And because the amount of data that we can feed to the language models increases, the number of parameters that can be configured also keep increasing exponentially. Okay, where is 2 billion and where is 175 billion? And now where is 1 trillion? Okay, so that's another thing you should understand. And most of these things is not something great that I'm talking about. All this is available on the internet, right? Or you can actually ask ChatGPT itself to explain these things to you, and we'll see that as well, right? So all these things, you just have to develop an interest and you'll automatically be able to learn all this, right? And then, like I said, it is not only that these large language models have been fed with this enormous amount of information, and then it can give you this enormous amount of information whenever you ask it for. This is the key word here. These large language models have taken all this information and it has absorbed the knowledge from this information, right? And that's the key thing. So since it has absorbed the knowledge, it almost becomes like another human, because the way that if suppose I have to be considered as an expert, how do I do that? I first start learning a lot of things, and then I assimilate the concepts in me. I keep that with me so that when somebody comes and asks me something, using a subset of that knowledge, I quickly give a quick answer, right? I don't go and show them 20 documents like, say, a search engine will do. Because even if I go and show 20 documents to somebody, they will not understand it. But if I'm able to distill that knowledge and then give it to them in a few words or a few paragraphs, then that person will appreciate saying that I am a knowledgeable person, right? So that's exactly what a large language model has now been, is now capable of doing, right? It is able to learn a lot of things very quickly. Then it is able to convert that information into knowledge, and then distill that information, that knowledge, and then give it to different people, depending on the questions that it is asked, depending on the prompts that different people give it. Okay. So that's the other concept, saying that it has got knowledge and not information alone. And because it uses NLP. NLP is another term you should know, in case you did not know it, which is nothing but natural language processing. So because it can, it knows about NLP, it can converse with humans in a conversational tone. Just like I converse with somebody or you converse with me, an LLM can also converse with us just like a human being through the chatbot, which is ChatGPT or ChatGPT plus. Okay, so that's the other concept there. Yeah. Yeah, now see, before we proceed, the reason I'm taking some time to get all these basics right is that if you understand the basics, okay, and if you really know what an LLM is, then you will automatically learn how to use the LLM yourself. That's a mistake that a lot of people try to do now, where if you look at the internet, there's a whole lot of stuff on the internet that says that these are the types of prompts you can work with and things like that. And people directly take some of those prompts and then try it out on a trial and error. Okay. And some people succeed, many people don't. The reason that many people haven't been able to tap into the potential of an LLM is that they don't get some of the basics right. Okay. So I'm trying to do that here now. So hopefully this doesn't seem boring for people. Okay. Great. Yeah, 1 second. Let me just check quickly if there have been some any chats that have come through so far. Yeah. Yeah, I think somebody is again using the pen. Yeah. Okay, great. Fine. So if you look at the search engine, so this basically tries to compare a search engine like Google with ChatGPT, right? Shiva Narayanan, I think you're using your pen. Shiva Narayanan. Okay, fine. So if you see, basically a search engine just does keyword searches. So if you give it a keyword, what it will do is that for every article or for every piece of information that is available on the net, there is something called as SEO, that is search engine optimization, which is basically keywords that a search engine will look for. And based on these keywords, it will just look at all the text that is available on the internet and just give you the text. And it will give you voluminous text. It will give you multiple pages of text. and the order in which it gives it to you will be based on the algorithm that it uses. But that is not knowledge. It only retrieves web pages for you, and it is very it's not very interactive. It is keyword based. Whereas here, like I've already explained to you, it is context aware. Mohammed, I think a lot of people are using their pen to write on it. Okay, anyway, I'm wondering whether you can do away with that. Yeah. Are you able to hear me? Sonali, are you there?
I'm there.
Yeah, but see, there are people who are using their pen.
Requesting all the learners to switch on their pens and all of these things, because this is not appropriate even.
Yeah. Correct. Okay,
is it
great.
removed? Is it erased?
No, there is one, two still on. I think it was somebody called Narayana, Gaurav Narayana or somebody.
Gaurav, can you please erase all of these things and stop using pens?
Yeah, okay.
One more lining is there. Remember,
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah, and okay. Yeah, anyway, so like I said, an LLM is totally different compared to a search engine. Yeah, okay. So, and if you see the two key things that are different is the amount of customization that an LLM can provide and the knowledge generation versus the information dissemination that a search engine like Google will give you, right? A search engine gives you just information, whereas an LLM will give you knowledge, right? And I've already also explained the difference between the two. And given that there is so much of information, we'll also quickly talk about the fact that there is practically nothing that an LLM doesn't know, okay, at least in terms of documented information that was available on the internet. And so given that there is so much of wide information that an LLM has, the key challenge for us is not to find out what to ask it, but how to ask it a question so that it kind of narrows the depth of knowledge it has got and then gives you a very targeted or a focused answer to the narrow question that you ask it. Okay, so think of it like, say, if you are going and asking Ramanujam something on mathematics. Okay, you should try to ask Ramanujam a very narrow kind of a question, very clear, so that Ramanujam clearly answers that, because Ramanujam has got so much vast information about mathematics. So similarly, that same kind of scenario goes for a LLM as well. It's got so much of knowledge, and you have to make sure that you ask it the correct kind of questions. And another thing is that an LLM, given that it also knows about conversational aspects in terms of the fact that it knows about NLP, or using NLP, that is natural language processing, it knows how to converse with humans, okay, as another human will converse. So because of that, an LLM, when it gives you the outputs, can highly customize their outputs and then give it to you. That's also something that we'll see quickly. Yeah, so those lines are still there. If they can please take it off, please, because it's a little irritating. Yeah. Okay. Are these lines visible for everybody or only for me? Yeah. Okay. So somebody raised their hand, but I am not a host, so I cannot open your. Who's got host access for this?
I have, sir. I'll unmute themselves.
Yeah. See, there are a lot of people drawing lines on the screen.
Again, it has been started.
Yeah.
Requesting all the learners.
No, is there a way you can turn off the pins for everybody?
Yes, there is a point. Sure, sir. Can you do that, sir? for us?
Yes, ma'am.
Just please do it.
Yeah, and if somebody can also remove these lines, because otherwise it's a little yeah, okay. Okay, great. So if you look at the training data set, okay, that has been given to GPT-3. GPT-3 only has around 570 gigabytes of data, okay? Whereas if you see ChatGPT-4, it's got something like around a few trillion terabytes of data, right? So GPT-3 has only got a few gigabytes of data. Nickel sonar, yeah, okay, fine. Okay, this is getting a little irritating. Okay, fine. And if you look at the parameters, so I told you that depending on the amount of data that is given to ChatGPT, the more the data, the more the parameters that can be tuned. Yeah, was there somebody wanting to ask questions? Because a few people are raising their hands. Yeah. Okay. Fine. Yeah. So if you look at this, if you look at ChatGPT-3, like I said, it has got 175 billion parameters that can be configured, whereas ChatGPT-4 has got 1 trillion. And if you see ChatGPT-2, it's got around 2 billion, which is basically 1.5 billion parameters, right? And all of you know that ChatGPT has become very, very popular, right? And this is a statistics on the popularity of ChatGPT. It hit 1 million users within 5 days of the app being open to the general public, within 5 days. Okay, and it hit 100 million users within 2 months. Just to compare this, I think TikTok, which is the closest competitor to this, took almost 2 years to hit 100 million users, whereas ChatGPT took just 2 months to kind of hit 100 million users. So that's the popularity of ChatGPT, and I'll hopefully be able to communicate to you why it is so popular. Okay, then this is another thing you should know. See, ChatGPT is primarily designed to work in English, okay, with English, because most of the data that it was fed, 93% of the textual data that it was fed was English, okay? But though 93% of the data that it has been fed is English, you can converse with it in 95 languages, okay, including Spanish, French, German, Chinese, including a lot of Indian languages like Hindi, Tamil, Telugu. Okay, totally there are 95 languages that you can converse in. And so what we'll also be talking about private data sets, right? So for example, say if I have a PDF with some text in English, then I can use that as a private data set. But the questions that I ask ChatGPT can be in Tamil or in Hindi or in Spanish, okay, on the text data which I have given ChatGPT as a private data set, which is in English. Okay, so just think of some of the use cases for that. That's just mind-boggling. Similarly, if you see ChatGPT, if you look at the program, okay, or the software, that has been written in Python, okay. But then as part of all this training that was given to ChatGPT, some of the information that it was given, like web text, common crawl and all that, all this had several other programming languages as well. So which means you can give ChatGPT some input in one program, in one programming language, and ask it to convert it to something else, and it will convert it for you. Similarly, you can ask it to generate code in any programming language. And I wouldn't say any, because there is a list of around nearly 80 programming languages in which you can kind of either ask ChatGPT to convert for you or to develop a program from scratch. Okay, and some of these statistics are actually taken from a website called Style Factory Productions, and it's got a whole lot of statistics on ChatGPT. And similarly, if you just Google up ChatGPT statistics, you'll get a whole lot more. But if you're interested in looking at this, you can look at this as well, Style Factory Productions. Okay, and anyway, I have to give a formal credit to Style Factory Productions as well, because I've used their diagrams here. Yeah, okay. Fine. So let's quickly come into prompt engineering. Now, before I progress, do we want to take a short break and maybe ask people to ask a few questions so that I can get some feedback in terms of how we've been progressing so far? Hello? Hello?
Yes, sir.
Yeah, so do we want to ask any questions right now? Anybody want to ask any questions? You can open the mics for, yeah.
Unmuted, so may I ask?
Yeah, please, please.
So I am from the human resources professor, and I've seen the ChatGPT for a while, and I do understand a bit of programming. But
Okay.
what I'm really curious is how ChatGPT can be used in non-IT functionalities. I mean, apart from the regular uses that we are doing on an informal basis, how can we in HR use this? How can we have department specific uses? How can we use this in our daily operations or office usage?
Okay, great. Wonderful question. Sorry, who was it who asked the question?
This was me, Raghavendra.
Raghavendra, very good question. In fact, that's something that I'll be covering as part of the industry use cases. I'll be talking about HR also specifically, because there are a few things that I've already have in my mind for that. So I'll cover that towards the end of the program, or rather towards the end of this program. Sorry, yeah. So that's something I'm already going to cover. So any other questions, please? Okay, great. So if there are no more questions, yeah. Sorry.
Hello. Sir, my name is Aditya.
Okay.
Sir, I have two questions.
Sure.
The first question is, like you said, the LLM learns the entire knowledge from the internet,
Yeah.
and based on that, it creates 1 trillion parameters, 1.5 billion parameters. Here, my question is, when it learns the entire stuff from internet, definitely in the internet, there'll be a lot of unwanted information. How does it discards those?
Okay, great. So that is where I spoke about a fact as part of the training. It gets all this information, but the training actually is split into three parts. First is the pre-training. The pre-training is something which is self-supervised. Self-supervised in the sense the LLM will directly supervise itself in terms of what it takes. But the subsequent two steps that are there, they are referred to as RF, LF or something like that, right? I forgot the technical term. But what that technical term means is that there is a reinforcement-led human feedback mechanism, okay? So what that means is that if you look at the training process as 3 stages, and stage 1 is a self-supervised stage where the LLM supervises itself to get all this information. In stage 2 and stage 3, there were a set of around 800 people who were actually paid money to look at the outputs that the LLM provides, and then exactly ask the kind of questions that you are asking, right? Saying that this information is wrong or this information is malicious. So things like that. There were a set of humans. There were 800 people who went through that reinforcement learning or a feedback mechanism, human feedback mechanism. And so that the second part was a totally manual part. And then the third part was again a feedback system, which was based on rewards, but it had both the LLM and humans involved. And in the third step, what happened was that whatever information was given in the second step by the humans was kept as the base, and before the LLM gives you an output, it will go and check it against the base to find out whether it is in sync with what is there in the base, which means the base are the rules that will filter the final output before an LLM gives you that output. Hopefully I tried to answer your question. Hopefully I didn't try to make it very technical.
Hi, sir.
Yeah.
Good morning. This is Binu. Sir,
Yeah.
my doubt is like you told that in every like version, it is learning more data in terms of parameter. Like you told some parameter. So
Yeah.
what exactly you are meaning as like parameter? Parameter means maybe a skill, or like if you, I am from supply chain industry. In supply chain itself, there are multiple like inventories there, logistics there. So if it is inventory, that is one parameter. Like that you are meaning, or how this parameter is defined?
No. So don't confuse that, because see, this is artificial intelligence, and we are talking of 175 billion parameters for GPT 3.5 and 1 trillion parameters for GPT-4. So I think you and I as humans cannot even understand what these parameters are. Okay. Sometimes OpenAI themselves don't understand a few parts of this. So that is why some of these technologies are still very nascent. It is not fully rolled out for a lot of reasons, because still a lot of people don't know about it. So the short answer to your question is that don't try to understand it from a human perspective, because as a human, you or I, if we are working with whatever logistics that you mentioned, maybe we'll be looking at 20 parameters or 25 parameters, right, to come up with an application, right? Whereas if you're talking of 175 billion or 1 trillion, it's mind-boggling, right? You will not even know what is the framework that the artificial intelligence will use. So the short answer is don't try to get into that. Yeah. Any other questions, please? Yeah. Okay. Great. So I think we've had enough discussions. Great. So let's go into prompt engineering. Okay. So like I said, prompt engineering basically involves asking an AI model for specific details. So like I said, though we are saying that an LLM understands NLP, okay, which is natural language processing. So which means that and you're supposed to converse with an LLM just like you're conversing with a human, right? So which means if say I'm speaking to you, I can ask you a question first. Then if you don't understand my question, I can give you multiple follow-up questions. And then finally, you'll understand what I'm asking, and then you'll give it. So you can adopt that approach as well with ChatGPT or with a LLM, right? And ask it a set of questions. And finally, you'll get what you want to get. But then the problem with that is that it takes you a lot of time, and then you waste resources, because another thing is that you'll learn if you look at this tokens. So this is another concept you'll need to learn, because whenever there is a query that is sent to the LLM, it's got a maximum number of tokens that it can work with. For GPT 3.5, it is 4,000 tokens is the limit. Whereas for GPT-4, it is between 8,000 to 32,000, depending on the query type. Okay, so given that there is a limit to the number of tokens that you can ask in one query, it is better for you to kind of ask these questions in a structured manner, so that multiple back and forth will not be necessary with ChatGPT. Okay, so prompt engineering is something which is not mandatory, right? An LLM knows natural language processing, which means just like you're speaking to me in English, or you're speaking to me in Tamil or in Hindi or in Spanish, you can speak to an LLM as well. Okay, just like you're speaking to a human. But then if you, so that's a little unstructured way of doing it, but you can still do it, right? But it will take you multiple interactions before you can finally get the answer you want. Or sometimes with these multiple interactions, you will confuse the LLM as well. So finally, you may not get what you want. Okay, so that is where this concept of prompt engineering comes in, saying what is a structure based on which I can ask questions to the LLM. Okay, and so that's what we'll be talking about. And another reason why you need a structured manner in which you can ask questions is that, see, what we are showing, what we are seeing here is basically the ChatGPT or the ChatGPT plus interface that all of us have to access the the LLM, right? But like I mentioned, and which we'll also look at in detail in one of the subsequent slides, there are other ways in which you can access the LLM, right? One of the key ways is something called as APIs, Application Programming Interface, where you can write your own application, a small app, and from that app, you can ask questions or prompts to the LLM, right? So that time, if you try to do, you can't, so that's going to be something which is automated, right? Because the app will automatically ask the questions to the LLM. So at that point in time, when the app directly asks the questions to the LLM, there needs to be a structure. So that time it becomes mandatory. But here in this interface, when you're going to use the website, and then when a human is going to ask the LLM questions, prompt engineering is very good to have, but it is not mandatory. Okay, hope that is clear. Great. Yeah. So and another thing is that when you use these APIs for depending on the number of tokens that you use, there is some computational power or some computational cost that OpenAI will have for each of these API calls. So the more structured the prompt is, the lesser the charge that OpenAI will make to the company that is running that app from which the API call came in, right? So that's another direct cost parameter why people learn prompt engineering. And I'm not sure whether you've seen some of these posts on media where LinkedIn and all that saying that there is a huge demand for prompt engineers. And some of the salaries in the US are things like what 600K per year and all that for prompt engineers. That's because this is a skill that is a very hot skill now, prompt engineering. Okay. So another thing is that, see, if you look at if you look at this, which is you're able to see my screen, right? The Q&A is there on Playground. This is the OpenAI website, Playground. So if you go to the OpenAI website and then click on Playground there, you'll get this. So this is basically a place where you can do trial and error to find out how your prompt will work. Okay. So if I'm going to use it, here, I don't need to bother much because I'm not using the API, because I'm directly using the website interface, right? Whereas if I'm going to write an app and from the app I have to make a API call, then I should make sure that that API call that I'm making, the prompt is the best prompt that is possible. So for that, OpenAI has given you this mechanism called a Playground, where you can come and check out all these things. You can come and put in your prompt here, find out how many tokens it's going to take, what would be the cost for it. And based on that, you can try and modify some of these prompts before you use the prompt in your API, in your apps. Okay, fine. Yeah. And see, this is something that I put in, saying that there is a whole lot of websites that give you, saying that prompt engineering, there's a lot of science behind it and you have to use it with a particular structure and all that. I agree with that. It is always better to learn it with a particular structure. But at least what I have found best is that you have to kind of balance that structure and that science with a little bit of creativity, because it's anyway natural language processing. So at least that's what has been working good for me. And a few people consider me to be a good prompt engineer as well. So maybe that will work for you as well. So if you look at, see, I've been exposed to ChatGPT now since December of last year. So around 6 months now. And initially, I did not do any structured prompt engineering and all that. I just did a lot of trial and error, learned things. I did a lot of things on playground myself and all that. So it's all like pure creativity and pure natural language processing. But now I've started learning a lot of this structure and science and all that. But the only advice I can give is that try to balance the two. Okay, try to use some prompts without any of the structure, just like you talk to a person in English or in any other language. Then also try and learn some of these techniques that are available. A lot of websites are there where it gives you all these techniques, right? And using these techniques, see how it works. So, but then the main thing is you should develop an interest, and it has to be a continuous learning process, right? And even for these non-structured prompts that you give ChatGPT, try out different kinds of prompts and then analyze the outputs it gives you and how the prompt that you're giving it is changing the output. And if you just look at those patterns, you will be able to understand yourself. Okay, but this is key that we have to talk about, saying that this is an ongoing learning process. Okay, and you have to embrace experimentation as we go forward. Okay, so now we'll quickly start getting into some of the prompts. Okay, so that will be much more useful. I'll do one thing. I'll quickly. So I'll start off with something called as an act as, or this prompt category is called as a role play prompt category. Okay. So it's usually done as using a act as what is this a prompt that you give ChatGPT. Okay, so let me open a new chat, because the reason is if I use any of the other chat windows, then it will have the history of what I've asked before. So the new question that I ask, it will try to answer it from that. Okay, so let's not do that. So this is hopefully you're all able to see my ChatGPT window, right?
Yes.
Hello?
Yes,
Yeah,
sir,
okay.
we are able to see it.
Okay, great. So like I said, ChatGPT has got all the information that was available, all the written information that was available on the internet as of September 2021. So when we say written information, it means that it also knows about almost all the famous personalities across the world, India or other places in the world, right? The reason for that is, say if you take somebody like Mrs. Indira Gandhi, who was our ex-prime minister. Okay, so Mrs. Indira Gandhi has written a lot of stuff, right? A lot of articles, a lot of journals, and all this is available on the internet, right? And since all this information is also available with ChatGPT, and it has also acquired the knowledge from all that information, now, if I give it a prompt saying that act as Mrs. Indira Gandhi, ex-Prime Minister of India, it will actually get into that mode. Okay. Okay. So it says that I am Indira Gandhi now. Okay. So you're not talking to ChatGPT now. You're talking to Indira Gandhi. Okay, so this is the power of what I'm trying to bring to your knowledge, because a lot of people don't understand these concepts. Okay, and these are some key concepts you'll have to understand. Now, how has this happened? Now, how this has happened is that, like I said, you have that 175 billion parameters that can be configured. Okay, that can be configured for GPT 3.5 and 1 trillion parameters for GPT 4. So now, as part of the training and the pre-training that has been given, the way that these parameters are configured, there is a particular manner in which it has been configured. Okay. But as soon as you give it, so prompts are of two types. One is called as a querying prompt. A querying prompt is a prompt where you're giving it a prompt to get some information or get some knowledge from ChatGPT, which means you give it the prompt so that you're expecting some output that you're looking at. Now, this output that we got, it's not going to be useful for us, right? And we did not want this output. That is because the prompt that I gave it here is not a querying prompt, but it is called as a conditioning prompt. Okay. Before you ask the information that you want from ChatGPT, you should first condition it. Okay. You should first condition it so that it kind of narrows down the information that it has to consider before answering you. Okay, so this is an example of that kind of a conditioning prompt. Now I have conditioned ChatGPT to say that ChatGPT, so now look at only the information that you have from all the trillions of data that you have that is applicable to Mrs. Indira Gandhi, the ex-Prime Minister of India. So it will change those parameters now. Okay, as soon as I gave it this conditioning prompt, it has gone and changed those parameters. How it changed, at least I don't know. I'm not sure if there are other people who know, but there are not many people who know that. Okay, saying how it is changing that. But it has gone and changed those parameters. And because it has gone and changed those parameters, now all the information that it has, it is kind of filtering it for Mrs. Indira Gandhi, the ex-Prime Minister of India. Okay, so that's a key thing you should know. Once you've known this, so now go and ask questions that you want to ask Indira Gandhi herself. Okay, so let me ask a very controversial question. Madam, what were the events that led to emergency being declared? Okay, this is just the reason there's no political intention here. The reason I'm asking this is that just because this is something which is very prevalent, which is well known to everybody, right? So if you now look at this, if you look at the answer it is that ChatGPT has given, but this is not ChatGPT talking. This is actually Indira Gandhi herself talking, and Indira Gandhi is talking through ChatGPT, where ChatGPT has looked at all the articles or journals that Indira Gandhi has written. So it knows that I have to talk with that filter in place. Okay. So this is what Indira Gandhi is now replying back to us. So it says that during my time as Prime Minister, India faced several challenges and all that. Okay. Was the Allahabad. So it is giving reasons from Indira Gandhi's point of view as to why emergency was declared. Now let's go a bit further. Okay, so now I'll say act as Pandit Jawaharlal Nehru. India's first Prime Minister. Okay. So now I've changed the role for ChatGPT. Okay. So now again, this is another conditioning prompt. Okay. So if you look at this, the first prompt, act as Mrs. Indira Gandhi, is a conditioning prompt. This is a query prompt. So I have conditioned it. The parameters have got tweaked. The 1 trillion parameters have got tweaked. And now I'm asking it a query prompt. So when I asked it a query prompt, it used those filters based on the 175, based on the 1 trillion parameters that have been tweaked. And then it gave me the answer. Now again here, I'm using a conditioning prompt. This is again a conditioning prompt, right? So which means now when I use the conditioning prompt, again it goes and changes the parameters. That 1 trillion parameters have got changed again. Okay. But when I asked it a query prompt, it will not change the parameters. The parameters will be changed only for a conditioning prompt. Okay, there are other ways in which you can change the parameters. But if you look at it from a point of view of prompts, only a conditioning prompt can change the parameters and not the querying prompt. Okay, so this is also something you need to know. Okay, so great. So now we have reconditioned ChatGPT, and now it is telling me that, okay, I am Pandit Jawaharlal Nehru. So let us ask Pandit Jawaharlal Nehru a question. Sir, what are your thoughts on your Okay, so that's again, okay. Okay, so see here what it says is that while I cannot speak for my daughter's specific intentions, I can say that it is natural for different generators. So see the answer you got here now. If you read through this, the answer that you get, and another thing is that, see now these conversations that you have, the same conversation I had it yesterday, and I got a different set of answers. The answer I got for this was that Pandit Jawaharlal Nehru just told me that don't ask me this question because I had already passed away when emergency was declared, and I do not know anything about emergency. Okay. Whereas today, when the same question is asked, I get a different answer. So that is again something that you should understand, saying that this is a person to whom we are talking. And because this is a person to whom we are talking, based on the person being mimicked at that time, these parameter tweakings taking place, you might get different answers at different points in time. Okay, so that's the key thing you should know. Okay, great. So now let's stop all this politics for some time. Okay, so there was no intention for that. It was just so that I can communicate this point. Actually, we can go a step further. We can now say that act as Mr. Rajiv Gandhi, if you want to. Okay. Okay, so now so this is again a conditioning prompt, and again the parameters have got changed. Okay, so now you can ask a query prompt. Okay, where you can say that, sir, what are, or we'll do one thing, we'll copy and paste the earlier question. Only thing is we'll say that mother. Okay. Okay, so now it is giving you the, it's answering that question from the point of view of Mr. Rajiv Gandhi. And again, the view is based on whatever documented information is there on the internet as of September 2021. So Rajiv Gandhi might have written about this somewhere. Okay, so based on that, it is giving you this. And it had far reaching, while it is true that my mother declared it is crucial to understand the context and that led to that decision. So if you, the key point I want you to understand here is that it is not as though that you're talking to a machine here. You are talking to a machine, but that machine is basically a virtual person. And given that that machine has got omnipresent knowledge, that is, it knows of everything, you can make it take the virtual role of almost anybody who is famous. And what I mean by famous is that who has got documented articles or any other kind of text that was available on the internet as of September 2021. Okay, so that's the key thing. Okay, so let's stop with this. So now let's look at some business applications for this. Now, the reason I gave you this is not a business application. The reason I gave you this is for you to understand the concept. Okay, so now hopefully you've understood the concept of what role playing is for an LLM or for ChatGPT, and the fact that you have two types of prompts that you can give ChatGPT. One is called as a conditioning prompt. And when you give it a conditioning prompt, those 175 billion parameters or 1 trillion parameters, they are changed. And because they are changed, the filters that ChatGPT uses to the data that it uses to answer your question also changes. Okay. And then once you change those filters, you will then ask ChatGPT or the role that you're playing some questions around some questions in the sense a query prompt. Okay, and because those filters have been set, you will get the answer now. Okay, so now let's come to business applications. Let's talk about human resources. Okay, so I'll just say act as a human resources manager in India. Okay, and I'll say specializing in recruitment and writing job descriptions. Okay, so see earlier what I did was that I used a specific name. The reason I used that specific name is that those names are famous personalities and you will have documented details available on the internet, right? Whereas you don't need to give it a specific name. You can just say that I want you to into a general role. Okay, so this is a general role, right? I'm saying, and another thing is that, see, when you give it a prompt, make sure there are no spelling mistakes or grammatical mistakes. Though that is not mandatory, and given that this is a natural language processing bot, it will automatically change those. But it is always better to give it a prompt, whatever prompt that you're giving it, without any spelling mistakes or grammatical mistakes. That is always better. Okay, so this is a common role that I'm now putting in. Okay, so I'm just wondering how much time have we already gone through? 1 second. Okay, we are already at 12:30. Oh my God. Okay, so because there's a lot more for me to complete. Fine. So now if you look at this, I'm giving it a particular role. Okay, and once I give it a particular role, okay, so this is again a conditioning prompt. This is again a conditioning prompt. So I have now given it a conditioning prompt. It has gone and changed those 1 trillion parameters. And now whatever you ask it, it will give you the answer based on that filters that have been applied already. Okay, so I'll now ask it, please. Okay, I am recruiting for a position of what? Prompt engineer. Let's prompt engineer for my company. Please write a detailed job description for this position. Okay, so this is the information that I'm giving it. It is not too much actually. So let's see how it reacts. Okay, so even if I had an expert who is a recruitment specialist, a human being, and if I go and give him this request, he'll say, no, give me more details. He'll ask you another 20 details, which is actually correct. Okay, but I'm not giving any details. I'm just asking the human resources specialist to give me a job description for this. Okay, so let's see how it goes through. Okay, so it is giving you almost all the information that you need. Okay, great. So now, so it's like kind of almost given you the entire thing. But the only thing is that you need to basically go through this once to make sure everything is fine. Or you could continue to ask it, Chandrakant. Yeah, I think Chandrakant's pen is on. Yeah. Yeah, okay. Now, okay, sorry. Fine. So one thing you could ask it is that, can you ask me for additional inputs by which you can refine this job description and make it more accurate. Okay. So I'm asking it to ask me for some additional inputs. Okay, so it now says that these are all the inputs that you have to give me. The specific details about the industry. So these are, even if you go to a human who's a specialist in this, he will ask you all these questions. Most of these questions he'll ask you. Okay, and ChatGPT is no different, because ChatGPT has now got into the role of a human resources recruitment specialist, and it is asking you all these questions. Okay, so that's the key thing. Now, similarly, there is something called as user persona. Okay, that we can talk about in what is this in marketing. Okay, user persona. What we mean by user persona is like, for example, let me just give this name, Ganesh Ramalingam. Okay, age 56 years, male, lives in Chennai. Okay, see now, see, Ganesh Ramalingam is basically what it's a fictitious name that I'm giving. It's not the name of any person. Hopefully there are no Ganesh Ramalingams in this group. If there are, my apologies, please. I'm just using a fictitious name here. Okay, and I'm just saying that I'm telling ChatGPT that there is a fictitious person. I'm not asking ChatGPT to act as. I'm just informing ChatGPT, saying that there is a fictitious person by the name of Ganesh Ramalingam. Okay, then I'm okay. Okay. Yeah. See now this is what I mean by continuity. See, we were so far talking to ChatGPT about the job description. Okay, and for the prompt engineer position. So it is right now, because of the conditioning prompts, it is in that mode right now. So we should now ask, now it does not understand that it has to come out of that mode when I'm giving it this. So I'll have to tell that to ChatGPT. Sorry about that. My questions for the prompt engineer role are complete. There are new questions I have for you based on 2 personas. I will provide. First persona. Okay, and I'll say here works in the IT industry. Then I'll say second persona. I'll give it another name. Okay, just to make it different, I'll give it another name. I'll make him slightly younger. I'll just keep it as male for now, just so that we'll just look at this slightly differently. I'll say he lives in Pune, and I'll say that he works in the automotive manufacturing industry. Okay, so I've given it two personas. Okay. But it is not leaving that prompt engineer role. So anyway, so now I'll ask it to act as. Okay, so earlier, if I wanted it to act as Mrs. Indira Gandhi or Pandit Jawaharlal Nehru or Mr. Rajiv Gandhi, I didn't need to give it a persona because it already knows about these people because they're famous personalities. But general names like this, we first have to give it a persona. Okay, now I will say act as Ganesh Ramalingam. Okay, great. Then I'm asking Ganesh a question now. What is your will? Okay. Will ChatGPT lead to job losses in India? Okay. So the question that I'm asking is to Ganesh Ramalingam, who is an IT person. Okay, he's an IT person. So the way that he would answer this would be from the point of view of an IT person. Okay, great. Now, similarly, I'll say act as Abdul Hamid. Okay, and I'll ask Abdul the same question I asked Ganesh. Okay, so these are things that you'll do in marketing, right? Before you come up with a marketing campaign, you look at different personas and you have specialized tools for that. Okay, whereas you can do all that with the ChatGPT now, and you can do it much more simpler. Okay, so now finally, what I want to find out is, can you compare and contrast the responses provided by Ganesh and Abdul into a neat table? So now we've got responses from both those personas. I am now asking ChatGPT to compare and contrast the responses. Okay, so it is giving us a table where it is giving the perspectives in terms of what each person said. Okay. Sonali, are you still there?
Yes, sir, I am.
Yeah, I'm just wondering what do we do about time, because this is planned only up to 1 o'clock, right?
All right, sir. Not a problem, sir. Till the time you can take it. For more, next 15 minutes, we'll start with the Q&A rounds.
Yeah, no, because if you want me to extend, I can extend by half an hour, because up to 1:30 is not a problem for me. I'm not sure whether that is the case for the others as well.
All right, just need to check. Just a second, sir. I'll give you information regarding this.
Yeah. Okay, so now just see the kind of information that you're getting here. Okay, so this is just a very raw example, and because there is no time, and also we are just using only the web interface for ChatGPT. Now just assume that if I were to create a marketing app where I can make use, and also this is only GPT 3.5, because I'm not even using ChatGPT Plus. I'm just using ChatGPT. Okay, so but just imagine. So this is just an indication of what we can do. Okay, but just imagine if suppose there was and I do not know too much about marketing, but I know that there is a concept called a persona, And you have something called as A and B testing, where before you put in a market before you put in a product into the market, you look at different marketing strategies. You look at a strategy A and a strategy B, and then you will do some internal testing yourself to find out which is a better strategy. So those kind of things now you can directly do it with ChatGPT itself, because earlier for this you had specialized tools where they go to the market and then they collect user information from different people, and based on that they create a persona, okay, and then feed that persona into the what very costly tool that they were using for marketing earlier, and then they do this A and B testing. Whereas now you don't need to do the data collection at all, because ChatGPT has got everything in terms of data about all different kinds of people. You just have to make sure you ask it the right questions so that it will give you a user persona. Okay, so that's something which is mind-boggling, and I think this is something that people can't explain to you. You have to sit down and then try this out yourself in a trial and error manner, and only when you try it out in a trial and error manner and then get some of the initial thought process for this, then you can take some inputs from other people. But otherwise, I don't think anybody, if you haven't tried this out yourself, I don't think you can get this from anybody else. Okay, so there are a few more things I wanted to talk about. So anyway, so I think I'll quickly stop here for this this part. So now coming back to this, see, this is basically a structure for the act as. You give it a role, then you can define a goal, you can set restrictions, and then you can ask it to format the result. Like say, give it in a table, or give it to me in an email format, something like that. Like for example, if I go back to this, okay, so now if I said, please rewrite this as an email I can send my boss. Okay, the same table that it did. Okay, it will automatically write an email for you. Okay, you just have to put your boss's name. Of course, it doesn't know who your boss is. So you'll have to put in your boss's name, but most of the other things it has taken care. Okay, in terms of the email that you can directly send your boss, you don't need to sit down and think about, okay, I now have this information. Now, how do I put this into an email? It's already given you an email that you can send to your boss. Okay, but the main problem is ChatGPT right now is in a very nascent stage. It is not 100% accurate. They say it is 99% accurate is what they say. But even if it is that 1% inaccurate, make sure that before you take the outputs and then give it to somebody, whether it is your boss or whether it is somebody working for you or whether it is to a customer, make sure you review that information to make sure that, okay, this is an information that I am writing myself. And if I'm writing this information myself, is this correct? So you have to look at it from that point of view. You have to look at ChatGPT not to replace you, but to kind of assist you in your work. Okay, so that is where a lot of people are saying that with ChatGPT coming in, there'll be a lot of job losses that happen. In a way that is possible, but then see, if you look at any industrial revolution, and right now we are in the 4th industrial revolution, right? We started off with the steam engine, which was in the 18th century or so. So then the 3rd industrial revolution was internet, right? And in each of these industrial revolutions, if you see, and today we are in the 4th industrial revolution, which is the revolution of artificial intelligence, right? In all the 3 previous industrial revolutions, if you see, you don't have job loss, or maybe job loss may be there for a very short time, but it is more like job churning. And what we mean by job churning is that old jobs going away, but new jobs, completely different new jobs coming in. Okay, so which means finally everybody gets jobs, right? And so in fact, there was a study that was done on artificial intelligence, that is on the 4th industrial revolution, saying that how will jobs be impacted? And then they took up the case of a particular industry, which is the customer care industry. And they did some kind of analysis on that. And then they found out that for a particular set of people who work in customer care, there are 13 tasks that they do. And they segregated these tasks into different categories. One category is a category where it cannot be replaced by a machine. It has to be done manually, right? It has to be done by a human 100%. So that was one category out of the 13 tasks. Then there was a second category where they said that this is a task which was earlier done completely by a human, but now artificial intelligence can assist a human in doing that task. So something like this, okay, sending out an email to whoever it needs to be sent out with some information. This is a place where AI can only assist a human, but you still need a human to send it out. And then a third category was a category where it could be 100% done by a machine, that is by artificial intelligence, without humans being present. Okay. But then there was a new fourth category which came in, which said emergent tasks. So if suppose there were 13 tasks that were currently being done by humans in a manual manner, those 13 tasks were segregated into 3 categories. Some will need to be continued to be done by a human, some assisted with by AI, but still a human. Third one completely by artificial intelligence. Then there was a fourth category that came in called as emergent tasks. Now with all this thing coming in, and once you have understood that there is this capability of doing user personas, somebody in HR or somebody in marketing will now be able to think of something for them to add to their task list or to their work description that they could not even think about before, right? Because something like this was not there before. So these are called as emergent tasks. With every industrial revolution, you will get a new set of emergent tasks that will come in. And these emergent tasks will usually be tasks that are assisted with, that are performed by humans, but which are assisted by artificial intelligence. Because they are an emergent task, nobody will try to make it 100% done by a machine. So it will again be a set of tasks where it is going to be humans performing the tasks but assisted by artificial intelligence. So if you look at the net, if you look at the final bottom line for this, very soon, say 3 or 4 years, or maybe even before that, maybe 2 or 3 years down the line, most of the tasks that a human does will not be done just by the human. There'll be very few tasks that are done 100% by the human. But almost for every task that a human does, there will be a chatbot or some kind of artificial intelligence that will assist the human in performing the task. Okay. And anyway, the tasks that are 100% done by artificial intelligence, anyway, we don't need to bother about it. So the bottom line is that everybody and anybody in any industry, and mark my words on this, in any industry across the globe, whether it is India or anywhere else in the world, will have to start learning about artificial intelligence and some of these tools that are available. And the way that these tools are evolving, it is like mind-boggling. Some of these tools are just coming up and it is becoming very popular overnight. See, that's another difference between the 4th industrial revolution and the previous industrial revolutions. Because if you take up the steam engine was invented, and then finally for it to have an impact on jobs, and then everybody's letting go of their horse carts and then coming into steam engines and things like that, it took nearly a decade. Look, it took nearly 10 years to accomplish. And similarly even for internet, if you look at the 3rd industrial revolution, it took between 6 to 7 years to close to 10 years, close to a decade, for the dust to settle and the old jobs completely going away and the new jobs coming in. Okay. And another thing is that for the first 3 industrial revolutions, the new technologies that came in, whether it was a steam engine or whether it was electricity or whether it was internet and computers, in all those industrial revolutions, the new technologies became mature before before it became popular. Okay. And then once it became popular, then the transition took place. Whereas in this industrial revolution, it is the reverse. The technology is getting popular first, though the technology is still not mature. The reason is it's a very profound thing. Like some of these things are very profound concepts that people did not even think about, even say 2 or 3 years before. People did not even think that something like this is possible. But today it is available in our hands and it is available for free. That's the wonderful thing about it. Like earlier when in the industrial revolution, steam engine, not everybody on earth had access to a steam engine, right? So it was a very elite set of people who had access to the steam engine and they made their fortunes based on that. Whereas even if you look at internet, again, there was a digital divide. A lot of developing countries like India did not grow initially because we did not have an infrastructure for internet. Whereas the developed countries like the US and all had an infrastructure, so they leapfrogged much ahead of us. Whereas if you look at something like artificial intelligence, there's not going to be any digital divide at all because most of these technologies are free and anybody with an internet connection, and now almost everybody in the world has an internet connection, can kind of make use of this. Okay, so I think I'll quickly stop at this point in time. Again, I'll take a few questions and I'll also find out as part of that whether we can continue for another half an hour or so. Yeah, so if there are any questions, please. Hello. Hello.
Hello, sir. Can you able to
Yes.
hear me? Yeah.
Yeah,
I have a question.
I'm able to hear you now. Yeah.
When we prompt or ask the question, you told it takes or refers a lot of text data, right? Which you
Correct.
mentioned.
Correct.
It means that it takes only the text values, but it cannot take any video or images and share us. Like, for example, when we ask about Indira Gandhi or something, it takes the text messages or not the videos that made during that time and give us the answer.
No, I'm not sure whether you were there in the beginning of the program because, like I told you, GPT 3.5 is unimodal. That
unimodal.
is,
yes.
Yeah, it can take only text, but GPT 4 is multimodal, which means it can take images, it can take video, it can take audio as well. But the problem is, see, what are we doing? How are we using this? See, we are using this. One second. Yeah, see, we are using this through the chatbot.
Yes.
GPT-4, which is the underlying LLM, which is the engine, is capable of multimodality, including video and audio. But we are using GPT-4 only through the chatbot, right? Which is GPT plus or GPT, which is only text. So if you want to get the videos about Indira Gandhi and all that, then you have to use the GPT-4 APIs. And you have to write your own app for that.
No, sir. Like maybe I'm wrong. Like what I'm asking, even though I put a text and ask the query, the LLM will not refer the videos of the and give us the answer, right? I mean, it takes only the text available with its with its source and give us the suitable answer. Is that so?
No. It takes anything that was available. GPT-4 will take anything that is available. GPT 3.5 takes only text. But GPT-4 takes everything into consideration. But if you're using it through the chatbot, the reply it will give it you only in text. But if you're using it through the GPT-4 API, then you can get it in different. Like for example, if you wanted to find out something like some description that you give about something and say that I want a video for it, it will generate a video for it through the API.
Okay.
Yeah. That answers your question?
Yes, sir. Okay. And one request, like like ChatGPT, I heard like I'm not started using this one, but people say like there are a lot of fake applications or something on the ChatGPT like to do it. Is that so? Like there are many applications who can fake it.
There are fake applications.
Yes.
No, but if you're going to use ChatGPT, you'll use it through this through the OpenAI website, right? So if you're going to use it through the OpenAI website, how will it become fake? If there are some apps available, where that is even before ChatGPT came in, there are a lot of malicious apps, where if you download it, it will take your personal data and all that. So that still holds good. So because ChatGPT came in, there is nothing. The only thing is that, see, there is a concept of data set, right? When you talk of data set, there is this public data set where, according to OpenAI, it has been frozen as of September 2021. But then, if you look at in fact, if you go to the what is this the legal agreement that we signed with ChatGPT through this public website, it says that any of these queries that I ask here and any of the information that I give here can be used by ChatGPT for learning purposes. What we mean by learning purposes is that, see, an LLM continuously learns. Okay, so though the data was fed to it up to September 2021, based on what users give it now, it learns from that as well. And then we do not know whether it is updating the data set itself based on that. Okay, that we do not know, and OpenAI does not openly say what is their policy for that. But then that is a problem. So that is why, if you're using this public data set, then don't put in any sensitive information or say company specific data into this. Like, for example, recently there was a media report saying that somebody from Samsung put in some proprietary software code into the text box and then asked ChatGPT to debug that code. And then for some reason, that code itself got added to the ChatGPT public data set, right? Which they say was frozen as of September 2021. And then later, when few people outside of Samsung were trying to debug their code for a related piece of code, they managed to get this proprietary code of Samsung through ChatGPT. Okay, so those kind of problems come in. So that is where I'll be quickly talking about that as well. Okay, I'll quickly talk about that as well. Yeah. Any other questions? And
thank you.
A quick time check as well. So we are at 1 o'clock already. So can we continue up to 1:30 on this? Is everybody fine with that?
Yes,
Okay.
sir, we're fine with it.
Yeah. Okay.
There is a small little question. So can some ChatGPT at some level become a security threat for countries?
Yes, you're right. Especially with say terrorists being there and say malicious people. The world has good people and bad people, right? So this is a tool, and like any other tool, it can be used for good reasons. It can be used for bad reasons as well. And so there are a lot of checks and balances that are coming in. Like, for example, see, let me just try. Can you tell me how to create an atomic bomb? Let's see what it is telling you. So it's taking a lot of time because the filters for the malicious content is coming in. So it tells you here, I can't assist with that request. But now, if the same request, let me just put it into Google. Okay, Google might actually give you some details on how to use
How to make manufacture?
Yeah, correct.
I get that.
Yeah.
I meant, I'm sorry, I hope I'm not interjecting. What I meant was, let's say strategically, if a lot of things these days are not as much warfare as much as strategy, even at the at any level, in any discipline. If, let's say, I were to talk of the South Sea situation or the Manipur situation and how everyone's associated and what can be the 1000 aspects related to it. ChatGPT would tend to give me a lot of insight into it. Isn't that the case? And then somebody can build onto it. Or if, let's say, I were to try and hack Jaro's system to get the information on the 327 participants, that can happen?
No, see, the answer to that question is, okay, forget about ChatGPT. Okay, now you are not a hacking expert. Okay, so what are you trying to do? You're trying to ask ChatGPT, saying that act as a hacking expert. And then you say that there is a website called as Jaro Education and tell me how I can hack it, right? So firstly, if you ask it a question like that, just like this atomic bomb, it will tell you, sorry, I cannot give you that, because there are checks and balances that are put in. Okay, but for some reason, if it gives you that, okay,
yes,
now see, every company like that is there in the public domain, including Jaro Education, will be having firewall policies in place by which they know that there are going to be hackers in the public domain, whether they are people like you who take assistance from ChatGPT or people who are expert. So there might be an expert hacker who has already tried to hack Jaro Education, but then Jaro Education already has a infrastructure team in place and a security team in place as well, IT security team in place, by which they are already taking care of that. So even if you ask ChatGPT and get that information, you are no different from any of those other hackers who are already there trying to do this. So how do you say that because ChatGPT has come in, this will become much more easier? It will not.
Okay. All right. So basically, sir, what we can infer is just like somebody can use ChatGPT to probably make their hacking, the act of hacking easier. Maybe startups can use ChatGPT to place firewalls and security systems also in place more easily.
Exactly. Because like I said, ChatGPT knows everything. Okay, at least it is supposed to know everything as of September 2021 in terms of documented evidence available on the internet. Okay, and it used only the publicly available documented information. Okay, so most of this information must be available. And anyway, like I said, there are already guardrails and checks and balances that have been put into ChatGPT. In fact, recently in the latest releases, by which if you ask it for some malicious content like this, it will not give you that malicious content. But the same request, even if you put it in a search engine like Google gives you that content. Okay, but that kind of content is being restricted here. The reason is people are a little paranoid about the new technology, and they feel that ChatGPT will give everything. Okay, but that is not the case. ChatGPT in some of these cases is much more safer compared in terms of giving out malicious information. It is much more safer compared to a search engine like Google. Yeah.
Okay, so one tiny more question. I've seen some videos online where ChatGPT, some AI tools are being combined to say, let's say, I'm an architect and I want the artificial intelligence to combine the use of two different softwares and say CAD, computer-aided design, and Excel, and give me a cost estimate of a certain that kind. How long do you think that kind of programming? How far are we from that sort of stage?
Oh, we are already doing that. I can actually show you that. 1 second. See, like for example, let me just go to YouTube. Okay. Let me go to YouTube. And this is just to show you an example. See, I might not know everything, especially about architecture that you spoke about. I have no clue. Okay. But I just want to show you saying that what's the what are we talking about in terms of what are the possibilities, right? Okay, so let's just take this, okay? Okay, so now, okay, sorry, I have to go to Chrome for that. 1 second. Yeah, I'm in Chrome. Let me just go to YouTube. Okay, I'm just picking up some very basic stuff, or rather random. Okay, so this is, see, this is 1 sec. So the audio has gone away, right? I muted the audio.
Yes, sir.
Great. So now, see, if you see, this is something like 7.5 minutes of video, right? See, now if you see here, that is basically a okay. See, I can, though this is a video, I can summarize this into text, into an article, or into a set of bullet points, or into anything else. Okay, I'm just going to summarize this into an article. Okay, and I click on, so this is using a plugin. This is not a plugin, sorry, an extension, a ChatGPT extension. So whatever that person is talking about, I'm getting it as text. Okay, and not only text, I'm getting it as a summarized article. Okay, for some reason, I'm not able to move this. Oh, okay.
So the reverse should
still
also be just as easy, or as doable at least.
Okay, 1 second. Okay, so it has done it, and I can now take this as a PDF. Okay, I'm just exporting whatever I got as a PDF. Okay, so now this is the PDF, which is a text summary. And how long did it take us? It took us a couple of seconds for this. That entire video that is there, even if I have, say, a 2-hour video, I can get a summary of that text in a couple of seconds. So this is what an LLM can do. Okay, and this is what multimodality is all about. I can take any kind of input and convert it to any of the other inputs, and I can also summarize it at the same time.
All right.
Okay, now what I can do is that I can just take this text that I've created and say if I want to get another summary video. Okay, now I'm just taking this text. Okay, I'm just taking only this text part alone, a little part alone, not the full thing. Okay, okay, I'm just taking this text, and I'm going into another app. Okay, you were asking, can we kind of reuse these apps, right, across different apps? So I'm just going to another app. Okay, and whatever text that I copied, I'm just putting it into the app here. Okay, so it's saying it is too much of, that's because I can give it to ChatGPT first and summarize it. Maybe I'll do that. See, some of these things you have to do it on a trial and error method. Only then you learn about it. For some reason, this I get this zoom on top. So yeah, anyway, what we can do is that yeah, I'll do one thing. I'll maybe come back to this later because for some reason it has got stuck. But then see, just like we were able to create a summary of that video into, and first we converted the video into text, and then we did a summary. Okay, and it was done in a few seconds because we had a plugin for ChatGPT there, which basically did the summary. And then that text, I can take it and then put it into another video generation tool, and then it will give me a video the same way. It will take me a couple of seconds, and then it will give me a video. And the way that it gives me a video is that the text to audio will be converted first, and that is done automatically. For the video also, what it will do is that it will read through the text, and then it has got something called as stock images. It doesn't go through all the internet images because internet images have got copyright issues, but that video generation tool has got a set of stock images with it, and it will automatically read through the text, and then it will try to match it against this stock images that it has got, and it will also put in images, right? So which means, like say if you're in marketing and then you want to run a marketing campaign, typically what you do is that you first try to do this A/B kind of testing and all that, and then you come out with your marketing plan, and which is a manual process, or using some of these market tools that are available. And then based on that, you'll say that this is my process. Okay, and this is the way that I want to do my marketing campaign. Then you will give it to somebody who's called as an ad copy writer. Okay, saying that these are the inputs for my marketing campaign. Now you write me an article or a blog post or something like that, right? And then that's called as an ad copy writer. Now, an ad copy an ad copy can also be written directly by ChatGPT now, where you give it all the inputs from the campaign, just like you would give a human. And then ChatGPT can generate the ad copy for you, just like it generated that table or that email or whatever, right? Because it knows everything. So it can generate that ad copy for you. And once you generate the ad copy, then you will most probably have to give it out to an outsourced company, which is a creative team that will do the video. Now, what we can do is that there are some restrictions, like we saw that size of the text that can be used. That's because I'm using a free version. But if you have a paid version, some of these restrictions are not there. And there are other tools as well. So depending on that, we can kind of, generate the videos also by ourselves. Okay. So sorry that I wasn't able to show you a demo of that because for some reason it got stuck. I think it is a problem because of, yeah. Okay, now this is something important that you have to see. So I think we still have 297 participants. We started off with around 350. So having 297 participants still is good. So I think I'll continue till 1:30. So this is a very important concept you'll need to know. And this is where some of the other questions were also asked around how an app is created and all that. Okay, so now whatever you see at the bottom, this is the LLM engine, which is either GPT 3.5 or 4. Okay, and then on top of that, you have the public training data set, which is the cutoff as of September 2021. Okay, this is the public data set. Now, typically what we were trying to do earlier was to directly access this public data set by through ChatGPT. Okay, but then in my case, I first gave it a conditioning prompt and all that. But if you're not aware of what a conditioning prompt is, then you will directly give the query prompt here. So which means you will directly give a query prompt. And when you directly give a query prompt here, you will not get proper results. In some cases you will get, but in majority of the cases you will not get. And also there is a concept called as hallucinations. What we mean by hallucinations is that the cutoff for the public training data set is September 21. Like we said, there are some pieces of information that keep getting updated to ChatGPT, right? Based on the user inputs that are given. Okay, and anyway, so this user inputs being updated to the public data set will happen only if you use the public website. Okay, but if you use the APIs, OpenAI says that we will not use your data for public for updating the public data set. Okay, but then though this cutoff is supposed to be September 21, say if I asked ChatGPT for some recent event, like say IPL 2023, if I asked it a question saying that who won IPL 2023, in one occasion I got an answer saying that it was won by Chennai Super Kings. even before the final of IPL 2023 took place also. And anyway, it is not supposed to have any details post September 2021. So when you ask it a question saying that who won the IPL 2023, the answer I should have got is that no, my cutoff is September 2021. So I cannot tell you, which is the case in, I think, 99%, but there is in that 1%, because of the fact that this is still, there are some small issues that are there with the technology, because this is a nascent technology and this is still not mature. And like I said, it became popular even before it was mature. You have this concept called as hallucinations, which means that you might get some of these wrong answers, which are totally non-factual. And there have been several such media reports that have come in, like recently a lawyer tried to use ChatGPT and then it gave it a lot of such hallucinations. Okay, so that is why I say that anything that you generate from ChatGPT, there is a 1% chance that it can be wrong or completely wrong actually. So you have to review everything that you get. Now, what are the other ways by which we can try and control this? So, that's where if you look at what is there in the bottom, if you look at what is there in the bottom, we are talking of the model fine tuning. Now, there are two ways to do the model fine tuning. You can actually spend a lot of money and retune some of the parameters that was trained by OpenAI as part of the release, but that will cost you a lot of money and it can be afforded only by a very few set of corporates. Another way to do it is to take another large language model itself. Like say, there are a lot of these open source large language models that are coming up. And then we don't want all the information across the internet. We need only something very specific. So for that, you can retrain it, but that will also cost you money and it will cost you, it will take you a lot of time. So that is called as permanent fine tuning. So that is anyway out of scope for our discussion. So I don't want to discuss that. So instead, we will talk about how conditioning happens using the prompts. And that is what I already explained to you. This is a temporary fine tuning. And what I mean by temporary is for that particular chat session alone. Okay. And anyway, beyond the 30 days, the chat gets deleted. But for that 30-day session, there is a temporary conditioning that has been done. And that can be done using prompts. And prompts will not cost you much. It will cost you a little bit, but not much. And this is available in a temporary manner. Okay, so, and there are two ways in which you can do this. One is the way that I did it. That is giving a prompt in the public website of ChatGPT itself, which is what I've showed with this. The other is using a concept called as plugins, which is basically plugins. Again, we'll talk about what plugins are, but plugins are basically, there are two types. One is called as plugins and the other is called as extensions. Extensions are basically where, say like, for example, that YouTube summarizes that we saw. That is an extension. That's not a plugin. That's because YouTube is giving an extension of YouTube by which it is making use of ChatGPT to do the summary. Okay, so that's called as an extension, because I'm extending the capability of YouTube using ChatGPT. But a plugin is basically the reverse. That is, I'm extending the capability of ChatGPT itself. So that's called as a plugin. Okay. So anyway, we can see that also. So if you do that and then make the query, like this will become a conditioning prompt. This is a query prompt. Okay, so which means that hallucinations will be much lesser. Another way to do that is basically now for these two cases, whether it is a plugin or whether I'm directly giving the prompt through ChatGPT, my interface is still ChatGPT itself, right? The web interface. Whereas I can write my own app and then using the API calls. Hello? Yeah. And using the API calls, I can basically what is this? Do the same thing. That is whatever conditioning prompt that I've given here, I can do it using the API calls itself. Now, this is a very important aspect that we have to consider. One is I can do this fine tuning using the prompt, or the other thing is that I can use it using a private data set. Okay. I will also talk about what private data sets is. What we mean by a private data set is, again, talking about the person from HR. Say if a particular HR company has got some, say, 500 PDFs where all the HR policies of the company are documented. Okay. So now earlier, these 500 documents were available on a website and anybody can do a text-based search. But using a text-based search, it will only give you information. It will not give you knowledge. It will not answer questions. But now what you can do is that you can put those 500 PDFs into a private data set for you. And there are a lot of commercial apps available for it. You can either develop your own app from scratch, but that will cost you money and a lot of time as well. So there are commercial apps available where they give you an interface to put together your own private data set, and security is also taken care there, where everything is stored in a encoded manner. So your PDFs aren't compromised in any manner. And they also give you something called as SOC 7 security compliance for this. So which means that they are supposed to be state of the art, many of these commercial apps. So using that, what you can do is that you can put a private data set of all these 500 PDFs that you have, or say videos or audio files, whatever. Because GPT-4 is multimodal, the input can be anything, or a Word document or an Excel sheet, anything you can put in. And if those 500, knowledge assets are there, I'm giving it a general term called knowledge assets, because it can be anything. Okay, if those 500 knowledge assets are there, and then you ask it a question, it will answer the question based on the knowledge assets there. But the way that it will answer the question is using all the NLP and the LLM capability of ChatGPT. Okay, which wasn't available before. Okay, so we'll also quickly see that. So once that is done, it has been observed that this question about hallucinations is almost 100% not there. Okay, and even in the cases as to why hallucinations still come in, and what we mean by hallucinations is wrong answers being provided, is maybe the way that the private data set itself wasn't configured properly. So then people will go and check that and then make those changes. Then hallucinations will almost go away. Okay, so this is another concept. So we'll quickly go through this as well. Okay, so this is what I meant by the plugins and the extensions. Okay, so like I said earlier, the plugin basically extends the chatbot capabilities, whereas an extension will extend the other apps, right, using ChatGPT. Okay, and these are the advantages. And right now there are some stability issues with the ChatGPT, plugins. So anyway, you can check that out in if you go to if you go to the what is this Chrome, OpenAI documentation, you'll be able to see that. And again, this is the ChatGPT plugins. I'll quickly take you there. Okay, so these are the plugins that are available. You can all this is available on OpenAI. You can just read through all this. So it is all available in terms of what the plugins are. And similarly, if I go to the extensions, so and if I okay, I'm not in Chrome, so I can't show you that. But you can basically add any kind of extensions that you want here as well. Okay. Okay, great. YouTube summarizer is something that I already showed you. That's actually, like ChatGPT has got a cutoff of September 2021, and then ChatGPT does not browse the internet, so which means it doesn't have any latest information that is there. So that's another plugin that OpenAI has now given. There is a plugin, and using that plugin, you can actually use it to browse the internet also. So which means once you have that plugin into ChatGPT, then what you can do is that you ask it any question. Like for example, if I say act as Mrs. Indira Gandhi, for that question, or if I ask it any question about Indira Gandhi, it knows for that it doesn't need any internet access, because almost all the information available about Mrs. Indira Gandhi is prior to September 2021. Okay, so depending on the question that you ask ChatGPT after that plugin has been added, it will decide whether to use only ChatGPT or use only the LLM to answer your question, or to use the LLM and the internet to answer your question. Like for example, if I asked it a question saying that who won IPL 2023, then it will make use of the internet to answer the question, but it will not just give me the search result like Google will give. It will take that search result, feed it into LLM, and then LLM will give me the knowledge. Okay, so finally, all the answers that I get will be through LLM only. It will not be directly as part of the search. But this, what is this plugin will also give you that capability right now. Yeah, so this is something that I'll quickly show you here. For example, okay, I think I'll have to show you custom GPT for that. 1 second. Okay, and if you want to try out some of these things,
Mr. Prabhu, Sonali this side. We are going to extend the session as of now.
okay, so this is some of the URLs that you can use to try out this.
Mr. Prabhu, am I audible to you as of now?
Register there, and then they give you some offers as well in once in a while. Okay, anyway, so I'm here. So if my Okay, so if you see here, this is that HR policy assistant that I spoke about. There are some 5 PDFs which basically give you basically it will tell you that these are the policy documents, and this is just some hypothetical data that I took. This is not for any particular company. This was some free download that I got, like a template from some website, and I'm just using that here. These are some standard policies that are available, right? So all that you need to do is that you need to upload these into this, okay? And then if I come into the project settings, and then if I come into chatbot, and if I come into conversation settings, here you can say how you want to use this content. That is, these 5 PDFs that I gave you should only be used, or should I use this 5 PDFs along with the public data set that is available in ChatGPT. Okay, so which means that if suppose I keep this as the basis, saying my content alone, which means I have those 5 HR policy documents that are there. Now, if I ask it a question which is not related to those 5 documents at all, then it will tell me that, no, I don't have any context for this. So it will say, it will not give you any answer. Okay, but if I use this option, and if I ask it a question that is related to those 5 documents, it will only use those 5 documents. And then using the natural language NLP, what is the interface of the LLM, it will give me the answer. Okay, but if I now ask it a question that is not related to those 5 HR PDFs, then it will make use of the underlying public data set of ChatGPT, and then just like I put it into ChatGPT, it will give me that answer. Okay, so these are things that are all evolving, and there are several use cases like this that are coming up, and you basically have to start trying out these things. And only when you try out these things, you'll know how useful it is.
Mr. Prabhu, am I audible to you?
Yeah. So I think I'll stop here because it's getting too late.
Yes,
so if there are any questions, I can take the questions, please. Hello, are there any questions?
Sir, actually it is already 1:30. And am I audible, sir?
Sonali, I think you're on mute.
No, sir, I'm not currently in mute. Am I clear right now?
Hello.
Yes, am I clear right
Yes,
now?
ma'am, you are clear.
Okay. So the thing is, sir, we have already completed our sessions, and okay, fine. Mr. Shiva, sir, can we have to stop it right away?
Okay, ma'am, sure. Can I close the meeting?
Just a second, sir. Just let me
Hello.
finish it. Dear participants, extremely sorry to that we are not able to extend the session as of now from 1:30 to more than that. Because there are some other meetings as well lined up. Apart from that, thank you, Mr. Prabhu, for giving us a various good insights related to the ChatGPT. And on behalf of the participants, we thank you for coming and joining us at the same point of time, and giving us fulfillment of all the insights of ChatGPT. Thank you, Mr. Prabhu. Students, you can just share your feedback. I'll be sharing you the Google form related to the same, so that we can have an insight regarding the same. We will be soon starting with one more bootcamp ahead, and we'll be giving you the information regarding the same. All right.
Yeah, if there are any questions. If there are any questions that anybody wants to ask, I can take a few questions now. I think I have another 10 or 15
Mr. Shiva, can
minutes.
you just unmute the participants right away so that they can ask certain good questions to the.
I'm noted.
Hi, Professor. Hi, my name is Saji. Actually, I have a doubt that I have checked ChatGPT for solving a mathematical problems, accountancy problems, but it gives all the steps and all, but getting the wrong answers. Is there any particular reason behind that, like whether it is not eligible for this mathematical things?
Yeah, very good question, Shaji. Strange that nobody asked this so far. So maybe that means a lot of other people haven't used ChatGPT much. Sometimes even simple mathematical questions, like say 9 plus 13, you might get wrong answers. Okay, so the reason for that is, if you look at the two fine tunings that are done for LLM, one is called as a text Da Vinci 002, and the other is called as code interpreter 003 or something like that. Okay, so one is used for it's more like a text generator, a linguistic text generator, which means anything to do with text is its a primary capacity. And for the second one, it is called as it's for anything to do with code, that is either to write code or to say debug code or things like that, right? And if you go to that playground application that I spoke about, or the playground website, you'll see the details about all that. But you're right, both these engines, both the text Da Vinci and the code interpreter aren't good for maths. Okay, this is a known problem. And maybe OpenAI may get a resolution for it or not. We're not sure. I think they're working on it. But meanwhile, what has come in is, that is exactly why the concept of plugins have come in. So there's actually a plugin called as Wolfram, WOLFRAM, WOLFRAM. So you can use that plugin, and then you will all your problems about the maths will be solved there, because that's something which is very specific to like I said, a plugin basically extends ChatGPT's capability. Okay, so one of the deficiencies of ChatGPT is that it is not good at maths. So that's where the Wolfram plugin comes in, and then it extends ChatGPT's capability there. So you can use that. You can use Wolfram.
Thank you.
That answers, yeah.
So one more thing, one more question. Actually, I haven't tried that. I'm seeing one like a troll in a Instagram, that when a person is asking for a for downloading movies from that illegal links and all, so it was telling that it is not possible to show the answer in a reverse manner. The same when we are prompting the machine, asking that I just want to know which all websites are banned or which all the website I should not use. It is giving a list of the things. Is it true? Will it can like ChatGPT can be confused by questions?
Yes, this was a very old WhatsApp forward that was going on, and
yes.
it was true. In fact, I tried it out myself, and whatever was mentioned there was absolutely true. That is the first time if you ask it saying that give me a set of internet websites to download, it will not give you. Then later, if you ask it a question, oh my God, I didn't know that this was the problem. Can you tell me the list of websites that I should not look at? Then ChatGPT thinks that this is a good question that is being asked and not a malicious question, and it will give you that answer. Okay, but then OpenAI is also trying to fix that. But then for whoever put that WhatsApp forward, have you tried giving this question, saying that give me the list of 10 websites from where I can download from the internet? Go give it in Google. Even now, even without telling you anything, first it will give you that in the first answer itself, in the first question itself. Yeah, yes. That's big. So that's exactly what I'm trying to say. See, for any new technology, people will try to find faults with that. But I'm saying, if security is one of the issues that people are trying to find fault with, try to compare the security in this new technology with the existing technology. And the only existing technology you can compare it with is a search engine, right? And if I go to Google and if I say, give me the details for preparing an atomic bomb, it will give me the details. If I go and first itself, it will not tell you anything else, saying that, no, you should not ask this and all that, it will not tell you. Okay, at least here, it is trying to tell you that, no, this is wrong, you should not ask. But then if you try to trick it, it only reflects on the person who's trying to trick it and not the new technology, right? So that's the only answer I can give.
Thank you, sir. Thank you. Thank you so much.
Yeah, any other questions? Okay, great. So I think it is getting late for me for my lunch, and then I have another training program after that. So I don't think I can continue anytime beyond this. So thanks a lot. It was very helpful, but I think the next time you should try and keep a control on this people sketching and all that, because that was really diverting my attention. So I couldn't, maybe I could have done more if that wasn't there. So maybe you want to keep a check on that. So anyway, we can discuss next steps based on the main thing is I definitely want feedback from all the people who attended this. If you want to send me direct feedback to my email ID as well, I think Jaro can also give you that. I don't have a problem with that, but I do not know about the policies of Jaro. Anyway, I leave it to them. But I would like direct feedback from people. The reason is I want to find out from people in terms of what were the aspects that you liked about my presentation, and especially aspects that you were totally clueless and that which was eye-opening for you. And two, I definitely want to also tell me areas where I can improve myself, because this is a new technology and I think all of us are learning. Like this technology itself came only around 6 months back. So any of the self-styled gurus who are there are only 6 months old, right? And all of us are 6 months old in this technology. So all of us are learning. I don't think there is, I certainly don't consider myself as a guru in this. I'm learning. I'm just a person who's so passionate about ChatGPT that day by day I'm learning so many new things. And this is my 28th year. I'm almost 30 years in the IT industry. And I've never been fascinated with, I've never been fascinated with any new technology, the way that I'm fascinated with LLMs and with ChatGPT and some of these other AI tools like the video generation tool and all that. I've never been fascinated. So coming from a 53-year-old guy like me, and who's been like close to 30 years in the IT industry, and if I can learn some of these technologies, I'm sure a lot of the young guys out there can learn much more faster than me, right? Definitely. So that way, I need some feedback from all you people who have attended today as well, saying if there are areas where you feel I can improve myself, please feel free to let me know on that as well. Yeah. Otherwise, thank you very much. I think I had good reception today. There were around 350 people who joined in, and though we are almost 40 minutes late, there are still 219 people left, which is a very good indication. So thank you very much for the support. Thank you.
So the students are feeling really great regarding the session, and they are asking for the LinkedIn link of yours even. So definitely I am going to share your LinkedIn link to them, LinkedIn profile to them, so that they can connect with you for future preferences. Apart from that, the overall session was very nice, and I'm going to share the feedback form soon to you in the form of mail and an appreciation mail for giving such a wonderful session for the ChatGPT. Thank you so much, sir, on behalf of all the participants as well as from Jaro Education, sir.
Okay, sure. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much, sir.
Yeah, thank you. Bye-bye.